Hello everyone, this is my Boarding House Warlock build in Chronicon, and I'll be showing you how it works, how it plays, and basically how to build it. So basically the gameplay of this consists of spamming Help It, spamming Firestorm, keeping this active, keeping Neutral Souls always maxed, and basically just dashing around so it looks something like this. There will be a full gameplay clip of me clearing Mythic 15 with this at the end of the video. There's going to be timestamps in the description, so you can use those if you're just interested in the gameplay. There's also a written guide that I will list in the description below, so you can use that as well. But if you just want to watch the video and see how it works, this is this. So I'm going to start off with my stats. This is the stats. This is completely unbuffed. I have 9 souls right now, so I'm going to just go to 15 souls. And this is the stats with 15 souls. Keep in mind, health damage and mana goes drastically up once you use Ritual of Souls and all the other buffs and stuff. So this is just to get kind of a rough idea on the stats, so don't look at health, mana, and damage. It's they go up quite a bit. But this is the crit, the overpower. I have 2.1k fire damage, and yeah, maxed reses, 30 evasion, which actually goes up to 40, and this is everything else. You can pause if you want a specific stat. So skills and masteries, I will quickly glimpse over them and then I will explain. So you can pause to see, and I will explain why I've chosen, or I'll explain some of them. Not all of them, because, yeah, this is going to be a 50-minute video if I do. So basically, the way this build, what this build relies on is Flaming Hells and Combustion. Basically, Flaming Hells, all of your skills cause a burn, and with Combustion, it has a chance that every time that burn does damage, it causes an explosion. So basically, with our 4 set, which I will read later, it makes Flaming Hell stack infinitely, and it increases, and Combustion's damage gets increased depending on how long Flaming Hells lasts for. So that is the reason we're going to be stacking effect duration wherever possible, because that increases Flaming Hell's damage, in turn increasing Combustion's damage, which is our main damage. So this is how the build basically works. Also, we use Ritual of Souls. It's extremely important and increases your health, mana, and damage per soul that you have, and it also, you can use it when you have 15 souls. It gets you the same buff basically, and then you stack the souls again, and it's like you have 2 of the same buff active. It's really strong. And so because of this, we're going to be constantly spending souls to keep this up, and we need ways to generate souls. So the way we generate souls is through some items, and also this. This normally sacrifices souls, but we use an item that makes it so that it doesn't sacrifice souls, and it actually gives you souls. And we also use Hellcaller, which makes Firestorm have 100% chance to grant a soul. But we also use an item that makes all fire skills give you proc Hellcaller, which basically means whenever you cast, as you can see, whenever I dash I get souls, whenever I use a spell I get a soul, and it's really strong. So that way you can just dash around and spam your spells and you just get 15 souls. And you constantly get souls from this, and you get souls from killing mobs, and you use your Ritual Souls, and then you do that again, and as you can see, I have 15 souls and the Ritual Souls, and as you can see, my HP goes through the roof. So that is how this build basically works. There is, obviously I'm not going to explain everything, because most of these are pretty self-explanatory, like, you know, we use Masochism for the buffs and stuff. Like, it's basically really self-explanatory, everything else. I use 1 point in attack speed here just to make the animations a bit cleaner, but again, it's really not necessary. I just put this point here because I didn't really have anywhere else to put it. For Mastery Order, you should definitely get Demonologist first, then Shadow, or Reaper, sorry, and then Lich, and then Corruptor, and the rest should be, again, pretty self-explanatory. Again, your most important stats here is like effect duration, anything to do with souls, and fire damage, and combustion and stuff. Like this here is just really self-explanatory. So let's go over gear. Now for gear, we're using the 4-piece Burning Hells set. Makes your Flaming Health stack infinitely, makes your Demonic Fury, that's irrelevant. But if the Warlock has no companion skills, Flaming Hells is instead applied 5 stacks at a time. And again, I don't need to explain why we use this, it's pretty obvious. And we use Wayric's Crown, which makes us get a shit ton of health, damage, and mana for every gem we have. We have a shit ton of gems, so there you go. That's pretty self-explanatory, the helmet. I'm gonna go over this later, actually. So the staff we use, we actually use the boomstick on this, which makes combustion deal 20% increased damage for each remaining second of flaming hells, which is what I mentioned earlier. This is basically what makes our build do damage. It's ridiculous how much damage this does. On the chest, we use Elementium, which increases all of our resistances by 60 of our highest resistance, which basically means that you really only need to worry about one resistance, and then all of the others basically get capped out of that. I use this to cap all of my resistances, so even on Mythic 15, where you get like a huge penalty to resistances, I still have all of them capped at 80. So yeah, this is the reason I use Elementium here. I think it's the best option. I used to use the armor that gave you like dodge and evasion or whatever, but I just found that this is just better because I couldn't cap my resistances otherwise, so I just used this instead, and it's way more damage reduction than the diminishing direct damage reduction from the other armor. On this we use Jones Book of Souls, plus 10 maximum souls. Again, no need to explain why, it's just ridiculous. Normally you have 5 souls. With this, you have 15, which basically allows Ritual Souls to stack even more, giving more HP and damage and mana. It's crazy. Yeah. No real alternative in this slot. Ring and Amulet. Use the All for One set, which makes all our damage element stats to get added to the damage element of the skill in the first slot. So make sure you have a fire skill in your first slot here on the left mouse button, because that way all of your damage, all of your elemental damage increases from gear also get added to fire damage, and this is how I got to 2.1k fire damage. So yeah, that is the reason I use this, and we use King's Rock as a rune here just because it's ridiculously strong. Increase the effect of all gems, really good. And the amulet, I use Firelord's Amulet. Hell Color can now be triggered by any fire skill, and Demonic Appetite is increased, is stronger. Yeah, I explained this earlier. This allows us to get souls from any fire spell, which is just really strong. So. Okay, and the way we mitigate damage is through Balgar's Binding of the Forest, which reduces damage taken from staggered damage and increases your damage based on the currently staggered damage that you're holding. This is ridiculous. It gives you so much damage reduction. So it gives you 20% stagger on its own, and we use the staggering boots, which give you another 45. It is ridiculously strong. It not only makes you ridiculously tanky without diminishing returns from the direct damage reduction stat, but it also staggers, obviously, so you can actually heal, and it also gives you damage on top of that. It's ridiculous. This combo is super strong. I have not found anything to replace this combo with so far, so I believe this is best in slot pretty much. And as for the rune on this, I use Heart of the Forest, reduces cooldown on all skills. It's pretty, like, I have like ridiculously low cooldown. Like as you can see, you can just dash every second. Technically, this is replaceable. So it really isn't needed. So if you want to use like any other accessory as a rune here, it's up to you really. Just another thing to mention, make sure to actually use the Binding of the Forest and not, or sorry, the Balgur's Binding. Make sure to actually equip it because it gives you 20% damage stagger as orange text over there, as you can see. Because if you make this a rune, it's not going to give you that damage stagger, so make sure you actually equip it. And on the boots, the rune is Dark Walkers. Soul Warp no longer consumes any souls and always acts as if consuming the max soul amount. This is just so that you don't die. You can just dash everywhere and it gives you souls instead of consuming them. It's really strong. That is pretty much the gear, and I think the only thing I have left to talk about is the gems. So I use again effect duration pretty much everywhere I can. As you can see, effect duration here, and everywhere else is fire damage. So fire damage on the amulet, effect duration on the armor. I use max HP and evasion on the boots because I don't have them anywhere else, and I think one of each here is really good because 40% fire damage isn't really going to do that much here. So I think 26 max HP, it gives me about, I think 10 or 20k HP, which is good, and 13% evasion is also good because it allows me to get to 40, because after that the DR starts kicking in a little too much, so 13% evasion on this I think is really good. Ring, chance to steal souls plus 53%. I use this just so I can get to, I think it's almost, where is it? Soul steal chance, it gets me to 93%, which is almost every time I steal a soul, so that is why I use this gem. So you can almost steal a soul every single time you kill a mob. Here we just use crit damage, just so I can get my crit damage to extremely high. And again, crit damage on the offhand as well, and fire damage on the accessory. Now for the rolls, for the enchants, I have tried to get to 100 overpower, so get about 90 overpower if you can. You get to 100 crit chance, and everything else try and get cooldown reduction, increased effect of all gems, and effect duration. These are your most important stats. Everything else should be explanatory. Get all res wherever you can so that you can cap your resistances, and fire damage because that gives you, or it doesn't matter what kind of damage it is, just elemental damage. And again, yeah, just cooldown reduction, effect duration, and increased effect of all gems is what you want. These are my rolls. I'm gonna go over them just so you can see exactly what I have. On the chest, you can get 20% reduced damage from all direct sources. That's really good. And yeah. So that is the build. If you do try it out, I hope you enjoy it. If you have any suggestions to improve it, of course, feel free to tell me. And if you have any questions about this, why I've chosen to pick certain skills, or really anything about the build, feel free to ask, and I will try my best to explain. And yeah, so now we'll put the gameplay demo of what it actually looks to play this, and yeah, see ya.